As the morning sun casts its golden hues over the bustling streets of Seoul, a different scene unfolds a few hundred miles to the north. There, under the watchful gaze of towering statues and amidst persistent whispers of secrecy, the citizens of Pyongyang start their day amid a vastly contrasting reality. What happens when a single nation halves itself not just by borders but through the threads of ideology, culture, and governance? North and South Korea stand as poignant testaments to this division, each a mirror with its own reflection of what could have been, tainted by the hues of what is. From vibrant capitalism to rigid communism, from K-pop concerts buzzing with neon lights to military parades marked by the cadence of boots and missiles, the Korean Peninsula offers a striking study in contrasts. Captured not just through the lens of a simple geographical boundary, the 38th parallel, but in the day-to-day lives of its people, governance policies, and cultural expressions. Government and politics ideologies at odds. South Korea's vibrant democracy is often showcased in its raucous elections and passionate public debates, reflecting a society deeply engaged in its political process. Contrast this with North Korea's dynastic dictatorship, where political power is not just centralized but sanctified, wrapped tightly around the enigmatic figures of the Kim dynasty. In Pyongyang, portraits of the leaders are not just decorations, but objects of near-religious veneration. In Seoul, political opinions buzz through the city like the neon lights adorning its streets. Meanwhile, in North Korea, the political narrative remains tightly controlled by the state, leaving little room for public discourse or dissent. This polarization in governance has not only crafted two distinct political landscapes, but also shaped the daily lives and mindsets of the Korean people, fostering a dichotomy of fear and freedom that penetrates deep into the societal fabric. Economic divide, prosperity versus control. While South Korea boasts the 11th largest economy in the world, North Korea's economy remains shrouded in secrecy, largely defined by its militarization and the heavy hand of its central government. South Korea's economic miracle, famously dubbed the Miracle on the Han River, showcases a nation that surged from the ruins of war to a powerhouse of innovation and technology. Global giants like Samsung and Hyundai are testaments to this economic surge. South Korea's gleaming skyscrapers and thriving tech industries starkly contrast with North Korea's agricultural fields and dilapidated factories, a silent testament to economic priorities dictated by survival rather than growth. This economic chasm not only highlights disparities in national priorities and capabilities, but also dramatically affects the quality of life of the citizens on either side of the border. Cultural contrasts. Expression versus suppression. Cultural expression in South Korea is as vibrant and dynamic as its economy. From the global phenomenon of K-pop bands to pioneering film industries that sweep international awards, South Korea uses culture as a bridge to the world. Conversely, North Korean culture, while rich in its own traditions, is heavily monitored and molded by the state's ideologies, often utilized as a tool for propaganda. The stark contrast is evident in how South Koreans freely criticize and satirize their leaders in movies and shows, while in North Korea, such acts would be unimaginable and severely punished. The control over cultural output in North Korea not only stifles creativity but also cements the government's grip on public perception, making cultural expression a vehicle of state policy rather than individual creativity. Social structures, freedom versus surveillance. The societal setup in South Korea leans towards liberal democratic values with an emphasis on individual rights and freedoms. In contrast, North Korea employs an extensive surveillance system over its citizens, backed by severe penalties for dissent. The fear instilled by such governance tactics deeply affects interactions, limiting the scope for genuine social dynamics. In South Korea, public spaces buzz with open discussions and social activities, reflecting a society comfortable with open expression. This is a distant reality for many North Koreans, where social gatherings are often monitored, and collective sentiment leans towards performed loyalty rather than genuine social engagement. Such social contrasts not only delineate the freedom experienced by citizens, but also highlight the profound effects of governance on the human spirit. External relations and perception. South Korea's diplomatic engagements are dynamic and multifaceted, reflecting its role as a global player in economics, politics, and culture. North Korea, in stark contrast, is often perceived through the lens of its nuclear aspirations and the mystique of its isolation. The disparity in how each Korea engages with the world further accentuates their differences. While South Korea cultivates relationships based on mutual interest and cultural exchange, North Korea's interactions are often tinged with tension and strategic calculations. Understanding these external perceptions and relations offers critical insights into how each nation not only views itself but is also perceived on the global stage, affecting everything from trade to diplomacy. Through this exploration, the stark contrasts between North and South Korea unravel not merely as tales of two governments, but as deep-seated cultural, economic, and social phenomena that continue to shape the identities and destinies of these two distinct nations on the Korean Peninsula.